What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. And today we're talking about getting back on track after lockdown. And I know for us INFJs, it's been a weird time, particularly on the one hand, because so many of us said, well, it's not going to be that much different. For me, I've been isolating all my life. What's really going to change? On the other hand though, now that we've seen how it all turns out, we see how much the energy that's going around affects us. Yes, isolation and lockdown may be more severe for all of those things that go on in our life all the time, but now they're more intense. And now when lockdown is slowly opening back up, it's the question of what are we gonna do? How are we gonna use that time? How are we gonna get back into creating our epic life? Before we get started, I wanna remind you, if you want my help in creating your INFJ epic life, then work with me privately or join the Bootcamp. Our pre-admission starts June 27th, so in just a couple of days, and we're also gonna have a free INFJ Epic Life workshop, so stay tuned for that. All the information you find below in the description. A couple of months ago, when lockdown really started going, we had a video on how to thrive during lockdown. And as I said, the discussions in the comment section were always the same. There were people saying, well, this is not going to be much of a difference for me. And I've been used to being isolated all the time, but even we need social interactions. It might be less than maybe other people need it, but we still do need it. And on top of everything, and this is something that I think most of us didn't expect, the emotional atmosphere that was happening had such a huge impact on us. It always has it, but now that we saw that shift, and particularly with everything that's been going on in the world in the last weeks, we see how it's like a big wave that came on top of us. It's like this thing that made us just go on the ground, sit there and wait. I was in that situation, and I know a lot of you too, where it felt like you have this fight or flight mode, and it was more like whoosh, it's taking me a step back. And then you ask yourself, how do I get out of that? Because I know for so many INFJs, it feels like the same way we felt when we were kids, and there were kids that played rope and you were trying to jump in, but it always felt like it's not the right time, it's too fast, and I don't even know when or how to get back into the game. But at the same time, we know that something is missing. We want to feel that aliveness. We want to feel all that awesomeness that life has to offer. And yes, particularly now it has become harder for us, but it doesn't mean that this is not something that we haven't experienced all our life, that we feel that there is this enormous energy happening outside of us and we're the observer. So how do you become part of the game? And it's not about saying, oh, okay, I see myself as an outsider, I see all of these things happening and I actually don't want to be part of that. That is not my energy. I can feel that. I don't want to be part of something where I'm just forcing myself into it. And I know if I would do that, why would that make me feel better? Yes, it's not about that, but it's about being a vessel that you allow energy to come through you and then to be expressed through your unique voice, through your unique way of seeing the world. So how do we do that? So we stay in this position, and particularly now you can see it so strongly. You have this feeling that first there was this wave that pulled you back, and now you see that the ropes are playing and you sort of want to get in. What do? Well, in my experience, it's all about doing the unromantic things. See, when I say unromantic things, I'm not just talking about romance as in Romeo and Juliet and love, but we as INFJs, we're dreamers. We're people who live in our head, who want to have this fantasy all the time. And if we're not careful, we go way overboard with this. I can tell you the hardest year of my life was when I spent such a majority of my time in my thoughts, in my dream world, and it felt perfect in this way. But the problem with that was that I gave up complete control of what was happening in my, so to say, real life. I was all in my head, I had all of those fantasies, but my life in the real world was slipping away. And before I always thought, well, I want to be in my head, I want to be in my thoughts, this is where I feel the best. But if you completely lose track of what's going on in the real world, you get to a point where the pain of reality is so big that you have to counteract, that you then see, oh, okay, but now I don't see how I'm gonna pay my bills, or now I don't see how I'm ever going to feel okay about my life again, because there's there's so much that just happened and I don't like how it happened. I don't like how I lost my friends. I don't like the fact that I don't have anybody around me. I don't like the fact that my career is not going anywhere. And it all happened without me realizing it. But what is the alternative? Am I supposed to be in the real world all the time? That's not what I want. That's not what makes me feel good. But for me, at that one particular time when I went overboard so badly, I had to do that. I had to be as strict with myself as I could ever imagine and give up all the romantic thoughts. I had to see, okay, this is my real life. This is what's really happening. This is the apartment I live in. This is the career that I have. Does it satisfy me? Am I happy with my friendships? Am I happy with the way my life is going? And the answer was no. And I wasn't aware of it because I was always in my mind. I was always in this dream world thinking of all these amazing things that could happen, but I wasn't taking action. It was me being in a passive role. And so when I did that, I was able to turn my life around. I was able to do all of those things that allow me now to live the way I live and to live in a way where I can dream all the time. See, that's the whole thing. Like, I wouldn't say that now I'm always in the real world. No, in 80% of the time, I'm in my dream world. I'm always fantasizing about like how I want life to be. I have a very relaxed life and I get to experience my life through my INFJ lens. But I do this in 80% of the time. 20% of the time, I'm doing the unromantic things. And you cannot wait for feeling to show up to tell you, okay, now do the unromantic things. You can't wait for that motivation to come because it's not going to. It's like this energy is going around you, and how are you supposed to feel that energy in order to feel like doing it, right? If you take a step back, if you're not taking part in creating your life, it's all happening outside of you. So of course you're not gonna get motivated by it. What you have to do is to say, I'm gonna find an entrance into that energy so then I can help create it. I can help shift it. I can become more in control of how my life develops. So that meant for me, first off, to get a better job. So I didn't tell myself, oh, okay, it's gonna suck everywhere. It's not gonna make you happy anyways. I knew that. But I also knew I can't look at how am I going to reach that fantasy. It's not about that. It's about creating a reality that is better than your current one so you can allow yourself to dream even more. And of course, these things help each other. Of course, my dreams and my vision guide my life, but I have to take control of it. That's for us INFJs stepping into our extroverted sensing, making it reality. So I said, what is going to make my life better than what it is right now? Not what is going to make my life look like my dream. Because the discrepancy between those two things, so my reality and my fantasy, were so big. Yes, you're getting closer and closer to that. But if you aim only for that, you're going to get disappointed. It was the new job, better income, new challenges. I started this channel, and in the beginning, it was all very slow. It was all very draining. We talked about it, that we need physical energy to make a shift into something new. That's why I always say, well, if you have a plane, the majority of its fuel is used for takeoff. It's the same thing for you. So you can either do it really cold turkey, you can do it in a way how I was forced to, because I woke up and realized my life is not like I wanted it ever. I was always hoping that something would come that would save me, the opportunity, the person, that great experience. And then I recognized it's not going to come. I have to do it. And I have to do it although I feel I don't have the energy for it. So how does that make sense in our time after lockdown? Well, we're in a very similar situation like this. It's just maybe more intense. Because again, we took a step back. We allowed ourselves to take a pause from taking part of creating our life. And it might be that for a lot of us, it opened a new realization that we cannot keep going like this, that we have to change something. So what are those unromantic things that you can do? And that you can hopefully do in a way where it doesn't have to be that you have to do it cold turkey, where you have to be the warrior all the time and remove all kind of great images and fantasies fantasies that are in your mind? How can you make all of those improvements in your life move forward in a way where you create this balance that I, for example, live, and how I teach it to my clients, the 80-20 rule of 80% live in your dreams and 20% do the unromantic things. Well, as I said, you cannot know what's going to give you energy. So that's why I created the 5-pillar system. That's part of the bootcamp, of the masterclass. We're going to talk about it in the workshop that's happening in a couple of days. But for now, if you haven't downloaded it yet, it's a free poster. You find the link in the description. But the 5 pillars are physical energy management, relationship management, wealth management, vocations or your passion, and priority management. And we have to tap into all of them. We have to set goals, the unromantic goals. So if you look at physical energy management, what does that mean? That means, how am I going to improve my sleep? How am I going to improve my goal setting? How am I going to improve my vision building? That part of us is necessary in order to have the strength to move forward. And then we have to set goals in relationships. So when I first started this journey, I was nowhere near to being willing and able and open to have a healthy relationship. I wasn't at a point where I was strong enough to tackle any kind of problems that I had with family members. The point I could do at that moment was to say, I want to have better interactions with my friends. I don't want to self-isolate so much. So I made it a point to say, every Saturday, I'm going to have lunch with one friend. And this took a lot of energy out of me. I was at such a bad place, and I know so many of us are really there and nobody talks about it. It was hard for me to say, okay, now I'm going to take the initiative. Now I'm going to call my friend and I'm going to do that because I want to be a person for whom this is normal. Because only when you start taking those steps, they will give you energy. And the same thing I did with my wealth management, that I said, okay, I'm going to aim for a better paying job. I'm going to aim for the next best thing. And I'm not going to say, oh, but that's not going to make me happy, or that's not my life fulfillment. That's not what this is about. The higher you climb on a mountain, the better your view is to what is really going to make you happy. The only thing that mattered at that moment when it came to that job was, is the future job altogether better than my current job? And the answer was yes. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I knew that I needed to change because staying at my current job, I already knew that's all I can get out of it. From personal fulfillment to any kind of career aspect, it just wasn't the thing that fulfilled me anymore. And so I went for the next thing. And the same thing happened with my vocation. That's why I started this channel. That's why I started showing more of my authentic self. And I was willing to get rejected by people. I was willing for people who knew me for years to see that part of me and reject me because of it. If that's what they wanted, then please, because I'd rather be disliked for something that I am than being liked for something that I'm not. And with my priority management, I did the same thing. I looked at my life and I said, what am I spending too much time on that doesn't bring my life forward? What, on the other hand, can I increase? What time amount can I put into action in order to make my life happen? A lot of times when we talk about priority management, it's all about doing the important thing over the urgent thing. So if you want to be a writer, then prioritize writing those 2 pages on Saturday mornings and do that before you do the urgent thing, like doing laundry. It's those little steps. It's that consistency. And as I said, doing those unromantic things, that is what's going to help us to step into an energy and then be able to sculpt it in a way where it makes sense for us. If you don't know how to feel alive again, follow the 5-pillar system. I'm not saying that's the only way. I don't believe that either. But I know that this has not only worked for me, but all of the INFJs I've worked with. Because we have to step into action before we start feeling that energy. And it's particularly important for us to take those steps consistently. So in order for you to take those steps consistently, you have to set those goals. And if you don't think about where do you want to be financially in a year, where do you want to be with your vocation, so how do you want to show up in the world, if you don't think about how do I want my relationships to be, and then take small steps, they might seem really, really small to you. It doesn't matter, because with every single step you gain more energy, and it's going to be an exponential learning curve. Trust yourself and do those steps, because the alternative hasn't made you happy so far. So why not try something new? You can start with those steps today. So download the poster, watch the alt workshop videos if you want to, and get ready for the next workshop that's happening in a couple of days. And as I said, if you want to take even the next step, then join the bootcamp. This is going to be the third one this year, and it's going great so far. So I'm really excited about all the group experiences that we get to have and all the success stories we get to share with each other. Pre-admission starts June 27, and if you join the waiting list, then you get access to the early bird price. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch the video where we talk about how to thrive during lockdown, because for a lot of us, we're still in this limbo phase, and that video can help you as well. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.